Can folks hear us?
Check.
Check.
You need to. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, nice try. Bringing other people.
All right.
Taking care of the echo.
All right. Should we just jump into this? We have a couple of issues and PRs to review. Probably won't go over the PR, but maybe we'll talk about it to give the community some idea of what that is. And then we got a couple RCs we need to go through, and then maybe
Do a high level talk about beta 1, beta 2,
beta 1.
Sure. Strategy there. We can close with that though.
You want to close with that? You want to open with that?
We can close.
All right, we can close with that. Why don't we jump into a couple of issues that need attention from the committee. So on this one, we actually talked about this yesterday. So we have a regular committee meetings on Wednesdays. And we asked for more information. Basically, the situation here is when you're running PowerShell scripts in a non-interactive mode, prompts is basically generating some noise in the scripts and making it hard to difficult to diagnose what is causing those prompts. In this case, it's actually looks to me like a bug or limitation in a particular provider, or rather a commandlet module that PSGet team owns.
So this is coming. They're trying to install NuGet.
Yes. They're trying to, I think they're trying to register a PS repository, and it doesn't have the force or confirm parameters, so it was always prompting. They couldn't suppress it. The challenge for them was how to get a good error message so they can easily see it in their logs. So one of the discussion points we had last night was it was not clear whether or not the ask was to, in non-interactive, always confirm. It doesn't seem to be the case of what they're asking for here. It's really just better error messages when a prompt does happen so they can diagnose and fix their scripts or contact the owners, because in this case, we don't know what all the workarounds are. If those, if should process and should continue is not supported. And I think the current error message tells you which commandlet is trying to prompt.
Right, because it shows an exception occurred while running the commandlet.
Well, I think this is the what they want. But I think we tried it. Yes, it's not in here. But it does. The error message does. I'm pretty sure I saw it show you this commandlet is trying to. So the part that we could potentially do is I think they're really asking for those last parts suggested fix. So this is where it gets a little bit difficult. It also depends on the behavior of the commandlet doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So
I think the fix is in the commandlet, and once they fix it.
Yeah, this may just be a one-off.
Right.
And I don't know if there's a systemic problem here.
I think we need to understand what that one commandlet's doing before we say there's a...
That one, well, they have that right here. So in this case, it was a registered PS repository.
So it tries to download NuGet.exe and it prompts you.
It prompts you, but they don't expose a force or
so it's an explicit call to the prompting.
Right.
It's a bug, in my opinion.
They should have a dashboard.
So that's why I don't know if we need to do something.
So that could be something like a script analyzer rule or something like that, where...
Yeah,
We should continue. Yeah, we actually should do that.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
And get the bug fixed.
Oh, that's not this one.
You can
But the password is not recorded.
No, I know.
It's out of
The link to my password is recorded.
You can edit the recording.
That's fine. Anyway.
So check the security of GitHub.
All right. So I think the response here is appears that the console, or that, or just say PowerShell host is doing the right thing, outputting error. This is something can't work in active mode, along with the rule. So that's in a different repo, right? We have a, should I resolve it at external, or how should we?
Oh, there's an area PowerShell Get. It's still there.
No. No, there's a separate issue already for PowerShell Get.
Right. Yeah.
What we're saying is we should probably, we're not going to make any changes on our side.
Right.
But there should be a script analyzer rule.
Yes. We should be.
What is that?
Here, I'll go ahead and spin up the script analyzer rule right now.
And reference this one.
This one is 3337.
I'm leaving it marked as review committee, and then you can change the label once you fix that connection. You can find it easily. All right, so for this one, let me give some context for our listeners. Basically, Jason did a proof of concept where he ported PS Readline to work against PowerShell v3, compiling against .NET Standard 1.3. And
so to give context real quick for those of you that are unfamiliar with the .NET Standard stuff, essentially .NET Standard 1.3 is a set of assemblies, reference assemblies that you can target so that your compiled DLLs will be guaranteed to work inside of .NET Core 1.0 as well as .NET Framework 4.5.1, I believe. Yeah. Is that right? And so this is .NET Standard 1.6 as well. That's sort of a greater set of APIs that will work in .NET Core 1.1. And then the plan is for .NET Core 2.0 to be supported by the .NET Standard 2.0 targets. So that's going to be a much greater set of APIs. It's going to look a lot closer to the full CLR, and it's what we plan on transitioning to. But what Jason's done here is essentially target the lowest .NET standard available so that this is guaranteed to work in the existing PowerShell Core, full CLR PowerShell.
And also targeting the lowest system management automation, PowerShell v3.
Right. Yeah. So this essentially is a quote-unquote universal module.
Unportable modules.
Yes, but it's a set. It is both portable and universal in the sense that this is going to work across v3, v4, v5, v6, full CLR, and core.
Yes.
And so
I think the interesting work here, what I'm showing here, is basically the equivalent of .NET Standard, but I don't think we're internally. I'm calling it like PowerShell Standard without a number. Let's call it 1.0, I guess. But basically, it's a similar concept as .NET Standard where we have set APIs, and if you code your module against these APIs, then we'll do our best to guarantee forward compatibility, so this will work against future versions of PowerShell. And the ask here is kind of review these APIs to see what is potentially missing and what should not be in this list. And I think you compiled this list mechanically, right?
So yeah, I started off with the v3 version of System Management Automation, and I ran a tool over it to generate all this file, and it's every public API that was in there. And then once it did that, then I took that code and compiled it against .NET Standard 1.3, and lots of stuff didn't compile because APIs are missing. And so when you see pound-if, for example, Steve's got there where it says pound-if snap-ins. So that code doesn't compile in .NET Standard 1.3. So I could just delete that, but I left the #diffs in so that it would be easy to see some things that aren't available in NetStandard 1.3. And with some rough categories, they were, instead of just like ifing everything out, I just put it, made a quick judgment on what to call that API, and there's, I think, half a dozen of those.
So for example, here, like one of the comments I added is for PowerShell Core 6, we already deprecated the snapping APIs. So if we want to stick with the philosophy that if you compile against, let's call it again PowerShell Standard 1.0, then it'll work against PowerShell Standard 2.0, whatever. We already know today that this won't work against PowerShell Core 6. So removing this set APIs would maintain the compatibility. And this is where I think the ask is for the community maybe to help out also to review some of this. There's another one like SIM, for example. It's something that we can debate whether or not that should be in there. It currently is supported today, but it's very limited support on non-Windows. It was really slow because it's like eating up all my memory, so I'm not going to scroll any further.
And do we have to look at other PowerShell assemblies as well? Most of them should not have anything, but there might be something else.
To start with, I wasn't going to put in any other words. Like the SDK today includes every assembly you might ever possibly need, and it's more than what people really need. Like we include some native code in there, there's a mixed mode assembly, but it's mostly native code just to get things to build. So this was just a initial like let's try and reduce it to the minimal thing of what people actually need, and then if it turns out that people need something in, say, one of the Microsoft PowerShell management utility assemblies, we could actually put in a forwarding assembly. Like we could just have this one reference assembly and put in like a type aside for some of those other things.
Okay.
And just pretend that you're always looking against this.
And do you have that tool also part of the PR? Or?
The tool comes from the CLR team. I don't know if it's a public tool or not.
Okay.
Not sure. But it's the same tool that they use to help them build the NetStandard equivalent files that they put out in their .NET standard repo.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't think we're going to sometime today in this meeting to review this further, but I think the ask is to have people provide their feedback.
And we reserve the right to change this, of course. This is the point of being in an alpha or beta state.
Well, so one of the approaches that I took right now is to have the maximal interface.
Right.
And I think what we want to do is we want to turn that around and we want to have the minimal interface.
Yes.
And then at that point is when we really want to get the community feedback that something's missing from that.
Right. Yeah, so we will continue to be trimming this here and essentially, at some point we'll probably push out a beta. I don't know which beta this would fall into, but
we should try to maybe get this out as part of beta 1 with the reservation that things may change, so don't make.
So this doesn't even, this is like independent of the beta?
Yeah.
This is like a reference assembly
No, I know.
you should be able to build against today.
Agree. I think it would be nice if we had, along with beta 1, we had like maybe a proper SDK, and maybe this is part of it.
Well, it's just a NuGet package,
Yeah.
right? This should be replacing the NuGet packages we put in our PowerShell MyGet feed.
But I'd like to have like a well-known build people can pick up, they can develop against the thing, target the API, run it in the well-known build.
Yeah.
It's just sort of more of a timing thing than anything.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to RFCs. We have 2 that's up for voting. Let's go with Ilya's one.
Just to verify here before we dive in,
Yeah.
basically we want a rule to ensure that when confirm impact is high, you have a confirm interface.
Yes.
Yeah. So the implement should continue with this case. Yeah.
We had an ethics cop rule for that. But that wouldn't have helped PowerShell get because it's written.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we've been down this road.
We know this is the right thing to do already. Okay, cool.
All right, so this is the get hash commandlet. This version you're seeing on the screen has been updated by Ilya, addressing the feedback. I'm hoping everyone on the committee has also reviewed the latest version. I think it aligns with a lot of the stuff that we talked about previously. So there's the output. There's the case of supporting null. So if you provide an array of strings and nulls in that array, then you would also, it would not be permitting failure. The encoding stuff.
Yeah, I felt very good about this.
And basic64 would be a separate thing, which is fine for me. Makes sense.
So I think the question is whether we keep a get hash or split into two. Because the proposal says use get hash and put an alias on it called get file hash.
Yes, in this proposal for existing scripts, right? Are you ever concerned about that?
I haven't seen the default parameter set. I just wanted to make sure it goes there, which is the second path parameter set should be the default, so it works seamlessly for get file hash.
So how do you want to ask to get that added, or you just want to add it as a note in our coding?
Just add as a note that should be default parameter set.
All right. So we get to a formal vote then? We can have that feedback. Other than that, any concerns?
No, I'm
accepting this.
Thumbs up.
Okay. So now we don't do this very often. I have to remember. It's now what is it, accepted? Is it 2?
2- experimental.
Is it experimental? Experimental accepted?
No, it's actually 3-.
3- experimental, 2- draft.
Draft accepted, that's right. Draft
or
accepted.
4- experimental accepted.
Has Ilya coded any of this yet?
I don't think so. I think he might have done it privately for prototype.
Okay, then it would be a 2- draft accepted. Here. No spaces. And by the way, if anybody has feedback on this specific aspect of the sort of like pull request issue shuffle, I still don't feel like we're in an awesome spot there. It feels very...
In terms of the RC process?
Yeah, and like numbering them and like I'm
still open for feedback on how to make this more streamlined. Without the cut and paste.
It feels a little shuffly.
It's easier for me to cut and paste into the reactor ones. Copy them more. Oh.
There was a comment from Stephen Murawski that he likes to flow PR with RSC or change to the RSC so you can better commit rather than an issue to talk about.
That has come up before. Now that I have my own experience with more PR reviews on PowerShell, I'm very comfortable with that model, to be honest. So.
I think it's doing like basically, and yeah, now that we have reviews in GitHub, you can just have 5 required reviews from each of us. It's going to throw a notification, review, and we can all have our comments and then talk about them when we sit down, which is a little bit more forcing function.
Yeah.
But if we do that, we need to be very clear about documenting that new process, because one of the things I think we've struggled with is not being clear in how we run it even today.
Yes.
So.
And then going back on get file hash, can you be more?
So get file hash takes value from pipeline, and we should ensure that the default parameter set matches the get file hash so people can just which I will yes. Okay.
There's value from property name.
And then it has an input stream. Like if you say, yes, value from property.
Oh, you can just look at the definitions.
Backline of property.
The request is to ensure default parameters that matches existing get file hacks to maintain compatibility.
Right.
Otherwise, I think we're good for coding, or whoever does it, hopefully. So, Ilya himself.
And then this goes as part of the utility wherever we have.
Yes.
Yeah, it would have to go to 10.
Same.
An alias to some other server.
Did I get that right?
Yes.
Of course, we don't have automatic aliases. So.
No, it's Microsoft stuff.
Yeah, that's right. That didn't seem right.
PowerShell dot utility. There's no Microsoft.
Sorry, I was thinking like system on Azure.
Yeah.
Okay. Changes. The next question is, did you guys read the other one? I can remove. I guess we can close this now, right? Or do we just leave it open for additional comments?
I think that, yeah, that's good to close. This, like, ultimately, if we do change the process to be PR-based, we should close
Yeah, because
all of them.
We'll have new issues for
right.
more comments.
And we don't want people to continue generating them. So we'll talk about that.
I actually need to do one more thing that didn't
People can
happen.
still comment on closed issues. So.
Yeah.
The link to where it got moved.
Yeah.
Put it here, right? Hold on. Oh, is it because, is it 3 not allowed? Or do you like all right. I didn't expose everything.
So do we have to change the second URL also?
No, that was the original one. I don't know. Maybe you can update it if you want.
That's what I'm.
So about this one. There's one thumbs up, so I'm taking that as someone, at least one person read it.
I
Give me a thumbs up.
I just read it.
It should not be very controversial.
It's not, yeah.
One of the reasons I wrote it is I want to show they can have very small RFCs for small things. But anyways, provide some context. So we wanted to add the capability in the web command to do pagination following the IETF RFC for link header-based pagination, which is, for example, used by GitHub and many other REST APIs. The only thing that really needs to be discussed is, so the way I had this proposed is for invoke web request, you would get a, where did I put it now? I think I put it as a link property.
Link properties or
yeah, I can't. Oh, there it is. That's because I didn't use the formatting. Okay, I'm going to say I should use the backtick so it showed up more easily. So in invoke web request, you get a relation link property, which is a hash table that shows you, so that way you can traverse it yourself. It also allows you that, in the case of, for example, GitHub, if it's throttling, then you can throttle yourself. Versus invoke REST method, it would just be follow rel link, and it would just automatically follow it to until there's no more. In that case, that would only work if there isn't throttling on the server side, or if you don't hit those throttle limits.
So it's a relative link. Would we make people?
It's well, the rel here is not necessarily relative.
Well, the data that you showed is relative.
In this example, it's relative, but the RC, it could be absolute.
Right. Well, my point was, if it is a relative link, it makes people do more work to go build the full link.
Sure.
Do we want to just always put in a full link instead of relative
in this case, my thing was just put in exactly what was exposed in the header without any processing and not getting into that business yet.
But it seems necessary.
I get what you're saying. I suppose it would make sense to make it easier. We could, if we notice that it is a relative link, and this will be the case where now I have to worry about things like dot, like if it's a file past. This is why I didn't want to get into that business, because now I have to worry about injection.
Sure. And no, that's a legitimate concern. But if you find yourself writing that code every time you use this property, then
I hear exactly what you're saying.
We do it, but
yeah,
somebody else does it.
You're right.
We do it for follow link anyway.
Yeah. So right, let's do that for the follow. So
in your thing, you're saying invoke REST method will expose a follow rel link
switch.
Yeah. Which is to go to the next. What's the use of the previous?
No. So follow rel link would, as long as there's a next, it will continue to follow it internally.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about any of that at all.
Right.
If you need to worry about previous and first, all that stuff, you need to do invoke web request and get that and process it yourself. Like if that's what you want. If you want to expose it to the user or something like that.
If you have a UI and you need to do previous because you're only showing end pages or whatever.
Okay.
This is the invoke REST method. The idea is go give me everything.
Right. You'll get a single JSON.
And I do have some concerns about follow rel link just causing problems. Like there should be some sort of limit, or like if I do a search and then there's 10,000 hits or whatever, and it's being 20 per page, and I don't realize that before I run that script.
Should it possibly be taken int instead of be a switch? Like how many times follow rel link?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
But then for people who don't care, they just put like max int.
Yeah, they can put in max int, but the default is not to do something.
Or would you rather expose a separate parameter like dash limit rel link?
Well,
number?
You don't need two. One to each other, and you can use 0 or -1 as.
You're either having other people always specify max int, or having other people always specify multiple times.
Yeah. But you should probably have a default max.
It seems like the default should be implicit max. I would expect that people using this know, in general, how many results they're getting, or they would just handle it themselves using invoke.
I
wouldn't go that far.
I think 99 times out of 100, if I'm doing this, I want as much as the REST API will allow me to take.
So you're almost by default passing max int.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is like
that's when you say implicit, right?
And then, so like if you get throttled because of this,
you get an exception because it'll show up as a non-success code, and then you'll ideally the server returns a meaningful message, so that would be displayed with those other fixes that we made. So you learn from that.
I think we'd want to give them more information than even like the server. Like if you just got you got throttled, whatever. But like you're on page N of whatever, so like you could go, go further.
Yeah. You can resume where you.
Yeah, I think that would be important.
Well, and I also it should be. I should still get the object to that point. It shouldn't be a transiting error that throws away what I've collected so far. Because you are going to hit it, right? I mean, like it's super common. It's like just keep giving me stuff until Twitter tells me I'm doing too much.
All right, I think this is great feedback. Can I ask you guys to put it into the issue? Because now there's more than what I'm going to remember from this meeting, and I think it's all valuable.
Totally fair.
All right, so let's postpone any voting on this.
Yeah, but I think it is a great instance of a very short RC.
Well, we can say that we accept this,
with these.
Right.
We could do that.
Yeah, no, that's a reasonable thing to do.
We can do that in that case. We just I still have that in my buffer. You just kind of paste in the other one, and then you can regurgitate your feedback.
I've already forgotten that process, so we have to accept this before we open the issue, right? Oh, no, it's
No, this is the draft of this update.
Yeah.
And there's one comment from Steven on the issue on that.
You can just open it now because there's no comments previously.
Yes.
Yeah, he just added 2 minutes ago, which is he doesn't like or he doesn't love the idea that you have for throttling scenario you have to use invoke web request. But it's,
So he's already agreeing with us.
you can live with it.
Our feedback that's come in, Steve, is dovetailing perfectly.
All right, so let's go through each of the ones if I can recall. First, the one was
Well, Earl and me, yeah.
resolve
So in the meantime, I may take over here and just start talking about our
let me capture the first.
no, I hear you. Just pulling everything up here.
Okay, the other one was the throttling. So what did we agree on? That maxent would be default. We just need to have as part of the error message, will we stop?
Yeah. Make it easy to resume.
Maxent should be default. You can make them each bullet points.
What do you mean by default?
Yeah, what do you mean by default here? So is
If that
whatever is follow rel link now taking a parameter?
We need to land on that issue. I'm not sure that we should solve that this second, but I think that we should just make sure that the path of least resistance is
Should be a way to limit the following.
right. This is actually super useful because like, every time I choose for anything, it's a huge hassle.
Use hub.
What's that?
Hub.exe.
No.
It's a tool for creating GitHub.
Check that out.
Hub.github.
All right, so that those two things, right?
and would there be a scenario where you do invoke web request and what you get if I come another invoke web request and it picks up the
You're doing a get and you're doing a put kind of thing?
yeah.
So what is, so,
I was thinking you do invoke web request, it gives you an object.
yeah,
It has a property. And then if you pipe it to invoke web request again, it starts from that URL. I don't know. That's odd, but that's like calling multiple times, which defeats the purpose of having it.
in that case, you would probably, because it's actually pull that out and pass it to the next one.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and take over on the presenting here.
All right. You want? You're going to do it from Skype.
Yep. We have magic technology. Share. Let's do that. Oh, can't see it. Great. Okay. Stay here then. All right. So I've shown this before. This is sort of our Grandmaster plan in terms of everything that we want to do in PowerShell 6. It's been kind of a living document. We've edited this quite a bit. And we ultimately, I think, want to move to projects for this because it's just not a sustainable way to do this. It was like we needed something really quickly, so we churned this out. But ultimately, we want to manage things through a real project management tool. And so you'll see me sort of start to port some of this into projects over the next couple weeks here. But we've added
The GitHub projects?
yeah.
Okay.
So that's this little tab right up here. You'll notice a couple of these are sort of high-level scenarios like telemetry or Linux distro coverage, sort of playing with the right level of abstraction right now because each of these have like columns underneath them, and so I think telemetry should actually be a column here. Yeah, this is Trello-like, guys. This is not crazy thing. But if you notice here, we've added these scenarios to this plan, and so some of these are sort of vague and high level. But you'll notice there's some at the top here, like I can use PowerShell on major Linux distros. This is primarily, at this point around us growing our coverage, being consistent across distros, and supporting more distros. Like I think we just launched with OpenSUSE. Did it make it? Or
I made it.
Yeah. So we have OpenSUSE support now.
Supported and unsupported version.
Yeah. So this is something we're working on over time. This one, I can know how many people are using PowerShell. We still believe pretty strongly that we need some kind of light telemetry. We totally recognize that this is a touchy issue for people and that we don't want to, impose any massive I/O burden or network burden or be,
related to privacy.
Related to privacy. I'm trying to come up with the word. Abusing privacy. We don't want to do that. But we think we need that pretty soon because we have no idea how the heck people are using this and how many people are using it and so on and so forth. And then you've got a couple here like I can use PowerShell on any platform to manage Azure. We're working closely with the Azure PowerShell team to get some of those commandlets ported over to PowerShell Core, and then develop commandlets for both Windows PowerShell and PowerShell Core using that standard 2.0. We sort of have a hypothesis that we're working to verify around how some modules may simply, quote-unquote, just work from full CLR onto PowerShell Core once we make the switch to .NET Core 2.0. So there's currently a large effort that Donglo is undertaking around moving us to an MS build, CS Proj-based build so that we can do that. But basically, these four things we think are critically necessary to us having what we are at this point calling Beta 1. And so if we switch over to the milestones here, you'll notice we've split out the 6.0 beta into multiple betas. The first one of those, we're targeting roughly a week before Build 2017. This is more of a timing thing than anything. But, we want some strong set of those four scenarios to be lit up for 6.0 beta 1. And so, after that, we really want to maintain the right to pivot, to have some flexibility around our prioritization after we get some feedback on that beta. We expect more people to pick up a beta than an alpha. This thing is of a higher quality. Our test coverage has been going up. We have a lot more commandlet coverage, and we think that Core 2.0 will allow people to actually start transitioning or porting their modules over to PowerShell Core in a much easier way with a lot less friction than has been involved in the past with porting to .NET Core. So after that, we've got this 6.0 beta 2. Right now, that's just sort of the next beta. There's no real due date for that thing. And we reserve the right, of course, to do a beta 3. But again, we want to be very quality driven for 6.0. We want the community to feel that the betas are of a certain quality before we go and put the production quality stamp on that thing. So this is going to be a combination of test coverage, feature functionality, and really the signals that we get back from you guys in the community around how far along you think we are. We've also opened up this 6.1 milestone. So this thing, imagine this is actually a comma separated list.
Yeah. Well, the GitHub editor allows Markdown, but in this view, it removes all the white space of the
Yeah, so if I go here, okay, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, essentially after we, 6.0, the sort of functional goal of it is essentially to have a cross-platform PowerShell that operates as you would expect PowerShell to. And so, it's really about providing a ramp for people to get to a cross-platform world and to support all the language features that we've had. You'll notice there's not a whole ton of new features going into PowerShell 6. It's the feature is really that we're cross-platform and the fact that, shipping is the feature to some extent, and being open source and all sort of things. So we want to lay the groundwork, and we've gotten some feedback, some kind feedback from a couple people here. This in particular, the fact that we're focusing on the developer experience a priority over adding new features. it doesn't mean that we're slowing down. It's just simply that we need to have a strong foundation. And that's why with 6.1, we're starting to stash these issues where we want to focus on improvements to developer and DevOps scenarios. So we want to, improve classes, debugging, better troubleshooting, parallel and async stuff that we've known we've needed for a very long time, interactive console improvements. We think there's probably a lot of stuff that we'll be able to light up in a world where we have external compatible terminals. And I know the console host folks in Windows have been working very hard on this as well. So, we hope to light up some cooler interactive scenarios there. One of my personal favorites, we want to render Markdown natively in the console so that we can, do get help directly against platypus-based Markdown files. It's really, there's a ton of stuff here that we're talking about. But again, we don't have a timeline for this. We consider it all sort of after 6.0. And this is just sort of a rough bucket of functionally where we want to target after 6.0. But for now, we're really focused on beta 1, getting functionally complete in those aspects, and then after that, we can look at sort of the other scenarios here. And I really my ask to you guys here is to help us prioritize some of these scenarios. Tell us if these are the right ones. After we're on Net Standard 2.0 and we've got Azure PowerShell working, we want to fill out our remoting matrix, make sure that that's very robust and secure. We want to make sure that we're integrated with all the native package management tools. You've already seen some of this with our support for packages.microsoft.com on, what's the distro breakdown? Is it
Debian
CentOS?
Yes, CentOS right now.
And RHEL?
RHEL,
The CentOS one works on RHEL, maybe?
No, sure.
And Ubuntu.
Ubuntu was working on 16.
Yeah. So, but we want to support all of them. We want to keep filling out that effort. We know our semantic versioning story with PowerShell Get, and not just semantic versioning, but the ability to filter on different platforms, or core versus full. Really, the metadata experience needs to be a little richer. And then, CLI experience with PowerShell. This is really the crux of why we're doing all these improvements in invoke REST method and invoke web request, convert from JSON. We know that these are the languages that all these cloud APIs talk, and so that's more robust as well. And then we've got some user voice delighters that people have wanted forever that we just we'd like to do for you guys before shipping this 6.0. So please tell us, are these the right scenarios? Are we missing something? What are you using PowerShell Core 6.0 to do? What are you using it to accomplish? And that's really something we'd love to hear from you guys. So does anybody have anything to add there? Is that our overall direction and timeline and all that?
No, I think when we move to projects, the only ask I have is make sure rather than having all up 6.0, we should have a beta 1, beta 2, so we can have focus on those specific things. Because in here, it was hard to kind of figure out what is urgent stuff.
Right. Well, yeah, I think with this, it's a very good question. I'm not sure if I can do like a filter here, like a milestone. I don't know if that works. But anyway, I think we've got about 15 minutes here. I'd love to open the floor to anything that you guys might have, any feedback you've got for us, how we've been communicating with you. How are things going? Have you guys been playing with these bits? It looks like we've got John, Stephen, and Jan Hendrik here. Yeah. Nope.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm just kind of getting back into catching up to where things are, and I've been heads down in a different project for a while, so I'm just starting to get caught back up and see where PowerShell Core is at, and PowerShell development in this newer fashion is going on. So happy to see this meeting and all this planning happening in the open, and yeah, awesome. Thank you.
No, thank you, Stephen. Shout out to you. I was just watching Matt Rock's video for the Habitat for Windows, and it looks like he's already taken a dependency on PowerShell Core 6.0, and that's awesome to see. So we really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a game changer for us to be able to. Cause that's a project I've been heads down on for the last 7 months.
I know, yeah.
And to be able to say, okay, we've got a version of PowerShell that we can take around everywhere that we need, so you can write your management scripts and know what you're writing against, is a very awesome story, rather than playing the guessing game of what's supported here, what's actually installed. That we can bring a management framework with us and say, here, you can always count on this. Write your automation to this.
And just to give you guys context, they're basically just shipping PowerShell 6 app local with their toolchain. So it's pretty cool. Implicit remoting. So Sean, can you talk a little bit about how you're using that, or how you plan on using that?
What issue you're having? Because we did that work.
Managing Office 365 directly on Office 365. Yeah, go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's quite simple. I'm not using it right now there, but I know that when I'm managing Office 365 from Windows Box, I'm using PowerShell 5. It'd be kind of cool because how you're connecting to Office 365 Exchange Online is via implicit remoting, not direct remoting. So the commandlets are actually running remotely on the remote Exchange server.
Correct.
So it'd be cool if we actually had that on the core side.
So we did that work a while back, actually, for PowerShell Core 6 to support implicit remoting, so that should just work already.
Oh, I guess I missed that bit. Shame on me.
I thought that's what we added in 16.
It was a while back. Dombo did that work, actually. Right. Why don't you try it out, and if you find any problems open...
I'm going to go play today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Awesome. Well, I guess if nobody's got anything else, we can wrap this up a little bit early. I'm hoping that third time's a charm here, and that we have an awesome recording.
I actually had to do a backup. Nobody did that, so no, I think it's fine.
I think we got it this time, yeah. So hopefully we'll get that up shortly, and we really appreciate you guys hopping on the call here. We also realized that we mistakenly did not publish a blog post announcing that we are now holding these on the third Thursday of every month. It's the number 3, third Thursday of every month from here on out. And so there's a recurring ICS that you can grab out of the PowerShell RFC repo. We'll link to that in the blog as well. So feel free to tweet that out and let people know right here in the community call. There's third Thursday of every month. Save this ICS file. And you can, join us every month. So we really appreciate you guys hopping on, and have a great rest of your Thursday.